Well, Bernard, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us
My
today. Or
pleasure.
should I call you Melbourne's own Bernard Curry?
You were obviously here yesterday, right?
I was, yes, and I remember the billboards as well.
No,
So,
right.
Yes.
Melbourne's own Bernard Curry. Yeah. I mean, I think I took a photo of me in front of the billboard, or was another one that actually had, my face on it and stuff, which I used as to build up my, my dossier when we're living in the States for applying for a green card, because when you apply through the normal channels, it's not like the green card lottery or whatever. You go through an immigration attorney, and they beef up this whole thing, and they go, look at this guy. He's really important, and he's really big news in his country. And then you're applying as an alien of extraordinary ability. That's what it actually says on the thing, an alien of extraordinary ability. And one of those things was the picture of the billboard with me in front of it and stuff. You're kind of like, look at me, there's my face on a billboard, right? So it's you're proving you're a big deal. And luckily, I got the green card, so that was I used it to my advantage, which is good.
What was that like first going to America? Because of course, when you were here in Australia, you'd been in Blue Heelers, you'd been in Stingers, you had this
Home
great
and Away,
body,
Neighbours, the whole thing, right?
You had this great body of work, and then you go to America, and suddenly it's almost like you're starting at the bottom again. What was that like for you?
It is literally like starting at the bottom, and that's the thing. Whenever because I do some teaching of sort of young actors and stuff as well, like that sort of thing, and a lot of the time they're asking about, the States, what's it like going to the States? And I always try and be really honest and open about not having too high expectations of going there, because it doesn't matter what you've done here, like even Chris Hemsworth or whatever. You go over there and your management might say, oh yeah, he's done all this stuff in Australia, he's done Home and Away, and they go, what? Who cares? I don't care. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't really matter unless you've done something like a buddy of mine did Animal Kingdom. Right? He was in Animal Kingdom, and then that went over to Sundance and basically won the audience award in Sundance and stuff. So there's a lot of heat around that. So he kind of used that to leverage himself into that, into that kind of sphere. I was over there just going, I'm here to audition. I'm here to become a working actor. It doesn't really matter what your body of work is back in Australia. You got to start at the very base level, and you got to understand that you can't have these ideas of grandeur going, I was on Home and Away, I'm going to go over and be an instant superstar. No, you literally have to eat shit and start at the grassroots level and work your way up like everybody else. And the whole thing about LA is that what you pretty soon realise is that LA is the centre of the universe for auditions and stuff. Even if something shoots in Atlanta or Vancouver or New York or in LA, wherever, it all gets cast out of LA. So that's where everybody goes. And it's not just people who are in LA that are going for these roles. It's now everyone from the USA, right?
Yeah.
If you grew up in Mississippi, but you want to be a superstar actor and stuff, you go to LA.
Yeah.
If you grew up in New York, I mean, unless you're doing theatre specifically, like you want to hit the Broadway thing, that's what you would stay in New York. But if you want to do film and TV, you go to LA. If and now it's Canada, and now it's South America, and then you realise everyone from around the world, if they really want to make it as an actor in Hollywood, goes to LA.
Yeah.
So you're not just competing against people from LA, you're competing against people from the States, and you're competing against people from all over the world. So you realise what a big market this is and how hyper competitive it can be. So you've got to go over there with not too high expectations of what's going to happen to you, because too many people go over there, and I've seen it. I'm going to be a superstar, and they kind of get this pad in the Hollywood Hills, and they're paying too much for rent, and they have all these parties, and they blow all, they haven't getting on the drugs and that sort of stuff, and they blow all their money, and they have to come back to Australia because they've run out of money, not having booked anything, So you've got to be a realist about it, So I enjoyed that challenge, because that was me, and I've got a good career over here and stuff, and it was even evident for me. We lived over there for almost 5 years. My brother Steve would come over to visit, and I'd go, do you want to come and live out here? And he goes, no, man, why would I want to? He goes, I've got a niche market for myself in Australia. Like Stephen Curry is kind of sort of a market unto himself, right? And he works all the time. He says, why do I need to? I don't need to go to LA. I don't need to do this sort of thing. It's like I've got a great little career and a nice little niche market for myself back in Australia. That's all I need, So it was interesting to me to hear him say that. But I had always had great kind of ideas and dreams of going to LA and kind of making it in that scene. And even though I didn't have the success over there that I was seeking, which was series regular in a big network TV show, earning $45K an episode, and that sort of success, I had by any measure a really good level of success, being involved in things like NCIS and CSI and Once Upon a Time and Pretty Little Liars and Hit the Floor and Faking It, another thing that I did over there. Bunch of other little things, and then I did 2 lead roles in feature films that were not actually shot in LA. One of them was shot in Cape Town in South Africa, and one was shot in Biloxi, Mississippi. But I feel like I had a great level of success over there. And then there's also the other interesting aspect of it, and that's what I also tell young actors. You can go to LA, be there for 5 years, and not book one job. Right? Yeah. You just completely don't book one job, and you can come home after you've run out of money, and that's still not a failure. I don't consider that a failure, right? Yeah. And this is why, because you do so many auditions over there, and it's all about audition. You become like this kind of weapon at auditioning, and you come back to Australia. And you walk into an audition room and you just slay it, right? And you can see it. People go, wow, this is amazing. So you probably book a job when you come out here, and So there's no failure because it's the experience.
Yeah.
And even if you don't book a role, you have the experience of being there and doing all those auditions and being in that kind of cutthroat, competitive environment that makes you a better actor. And it makes you a stronger person because you've got to hear no so many times, and you've got to come back from that and you've got to go again. Let me just quickly, this is a friend of mine.
That's all right.
Okay.
So, like you said, you got onto some of the biggest shows in America. Was it a difficult decision to come back and do Wentworth?
You know what? It was actually a bit of a difficult decision. I did the audition for Wentworth. I didn't really know much about it. Like I was saying in the panel, I had to ask my brother about this show, and he said, "Yeah, it's a great show, man." So it was really a choice. I said to my wife, "I got the gig. I got this Wentworth gig." She's like, "Oh man!" And I remember actually it was an interesting thing. So I was about to play music on a Friday night. We used to play this thing, and it was me and some buddies. We called ourselves the Budgie Smugglers,
yep.
Aussie blokes, and we ran this sort of Friday night acoustic rock gig at this bar, like a sports bar on Melrose called the Parlour. And we have, because 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night on a Friday night coincided with an afternoon on the Saturday. So you could actually have games of footy on the TV screens and stuff. So we had this thing we got games of rugby and games of AFL footy, and these Aussies would come and they go, "This is fucking cool."
Yeah.
Get to drink beers. They're playing Paul Kelly up there on the stage, and I'm watching footy. Yes, So it became this real Aussie sort of thing, And I got the call from this guy Nathan Lloyd, who's the casting director. He called me personally. He said, "Bernie, you got the gig. This is for Wentworth." And I remember standing there just before we were going on, standing there going, "Shit." And he goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, and I remember thinking, that shit for me was like, shit, that's awesome, and I'm really thrilled and stoked about it. But it's also, shit, we've got to pack all of our stuff up here and fill a shipping container and ship everything back and start a new life in Australia, just when I felt like I was really getting, some good momentum in the States. This is a decision now that we have to make. And I talked to my wife and I said, "Got the gig?" And she's like, "Shit." And I'm like, "Yeah, same thing." So it was a kind of all right, what do we do?
Yeah.
And I always felt like, if I got the gig, I felt like it was, yes, I'm going to do it, because it was a job. I wasn't actually working at that time in LA.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, we were sort of looking for an exit strategy out of LA because it had been a brutal 5 years. I mean, I don't want to try and sugarcoat it. It was tough, you know. Did you get him?
He's all sorted.
Oh, cool.
All sorted. They're all in.
Oh, nice one. Thanks for that.
They're just going to go in through the main door. That's all.
Oh, they've got it. They're cool. Are they going to come back around here? Cool.
They'll come back on their lunch break. They'll text you.
Nice one. You know, so we were kind of looking for an exit strategy to get out of LA and stuff, and this sort of presented an opportunity for us. Like, okay, we've got a soft landing back in Australia now. I'm not like going back with my tail between my legs, going, can I get a job, sort of thing, you know. And so we came back into a job. So we were like, right, we're getting, you know, we can come back and find a place to live, and I'm getting paid to do a job, and away we go. And luckily, of course, season 4 became season 5, became season 6, 7, and then we got cancelled, but then we got back on, and now it became 8, and we're going to call it 9. You know, so what a great job for me to come back to, and for me, it's given me so much as an actor.
Yeah.
I feel like it made me an infinitely better actor. The experience of working with, you know, people like Pamela Ray, all of the people working on this show, I feel like they allowed me to step up to their level of excellence, and I became a better actor, and I became a better person. So it was, you know, that was wonderful. It was, you know, it was and then it also continues to give, like going to fan events like this, going to Chicago to do Wentworth Con, going to Jersey. I'm going to Jersey in July to do that sort of thing. It keeps giving, you know what I mean? It's the experience that keeps giving, and the fans, you know, when you talk about the fans of Wentworth, they're a real breed unto themselves, aren't they? And they just are so ravenous about the show, and it's not just about like, I love the show. A lot of these people have personal stories that the show meant something to them on a much deeper level than I just enjoy watching the show. It really resonated with them, and it, you know, because it obviously deals with a lot of very strong women characters, and then it's also like there are non-binary characters as well. It deals with homosexuality, it deals with acceptance, it deals with family, it deals with where do you fit into a certain, you know, in a certain environment, and it deals with people who are outcasts and people who are criminals and people who have been marginalised in society. All of those things that just resonate with so many people, and they go, man, that show meant something to me on a very, very deep level. And you can see that. You can see the way that it's changed people. And these people live for this show. So there's deeper things going on than just making a show that's for entertainment, that people go, oh, look, I love this show. It's got great stuff in it, whatever. I feel like we had a higher cause with many of these people, many of the fans, because it touches them so deeply. Yeah,
I know that was for my wife. She worked in a prison.
Right.
So you watched the show and went, oh yeah, that's exactly what used to happen in my job. So
probably not as regularly as it happens in the show, right? But you're making drama. It's got to be drama, and it's got to be dramatic. It's got to be exciting. It's got to be you know, engaging. So, you know, there's always some poetic license taken with that sort of stuff. But that stuff does happen.
Mount Thomas, beautiful town, but highest crime rate of any town in Australia.
Or like Jessica Fletcher. No one would hang out with Jessica Fletcher because wherever she goes, a murder happens.
Exactly.
She should be witness priority number 1 for the cops. Whenever a murder happens again, Jessica, murder she wrote. Again, a fucking murder happens right when you're there. Who's the prime suspect here?
Exactly.
It's you, right?
So, Bern, to finish up, because you've been more than generous with your time, where to now, both musically and acting-wise?
So like I also said in my panel, it's I feel like performance. I'm a performer, and music is, you know, one of my passions as well, you know, doing voiceovers and doing commercials when they're happening, and hosting things and presenting things, and then doing MC work for charity events and corporate events and stuff like that, and then obviously acting. So I've just completed 2 TV shows which are coming up later in the year. One of them is Savage River, directed by Jocelyn Morehouse, who also directed The Dressmaker. shot by Donald McAlpine, who's like a legend of the cinematography industry and stuff. It's like a Scandinavian-styled noir thriller murder mystery kind of thing on the ABC. It's going to be on the ABC, and that'll be happening. That'll come on sometime later this year. And then the other thing is like a teenagers tween kind of show, which is like a horror comedy, sort of dark, nod to the 80s. It's a little bit kind of Stranger Things kind of thing. Awesome. And it's called Crazy Fun Park. Okay. Set in and around an abandoned amusement park where these kids have gone over the years to go on the rides and they die and stuff, and all of the kids who have died come back as spirits in the park, and this one kid keeps going back in there because he discovers these kids and he keeps going back to hang out with these crazy spirits in Crazy Fun Park, and I play his dad. So I'm now doing dad roles, This is I'm consigned my career to now doing dad roles, and that's okay. I'm all right because I am a dad. So even dads can be flawed characters and can have certain things going on that are good for drama as well. So I'm happy to go there. Eventually, I'm going to be playing grandfather roles and stuff. But I've always considered that to be, you grow into who you are and you play your your kind of demographic, don't you? So, and like someone like Bud Tingwell is an inspiration to me because I hope to be doing this when I'm 75, 80 years old as well. Yeah. I'm not going to retire at 65 and just not do it anymore. Yeah. I love it too much. Yeah. And I'm just going to keep working as an actor because that will keep me vibrant. That will keep me moving. You've got all those great old fellas, that used to just keep working and Hunter and all that, Otto and all these great actors that just continue to work, Jeffrey Rush and that sort of thing. So I hope to be doing it as long as I live.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much.
It's a good note to end on, right?
Yeah, exactly. And thank you so much for your time. It's been
my
an
pleasure
honour having you on the show, and we can't wait to see your new projects.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them too. Cheers, Dave.